it's pretty clear to me that the Eagles are setting this up as a prove-it year for Jalen Hurts, right? I mean, I'm not breaking any news there. The Eagles are setting this up for Jalen Hurts to prove something once again. And we're going to find out if he proves it, how he does, how he plays, and then we'll see where his future goes here in Philadelphia from that. But, it's one thing for teams to ask players to continue to prove it. It's another thing for us as fans to ask players to continue to prove it. And to be quite clear, Jalen Hurts has done a lot as the Eagles quarterback.
He's accomplished.
He's accomplished a lot.
Bona fide.
He accomplished way more already than I think most people thought on draft night. The minute they drafted him, if I told you all the things that would happen over the next 6 years, you would have done jumping jacks and signed up for it without question. But in sports, it's not about what you have done. It's about what you have to do now. It's about what have you done for me lately, right? So he's done a lot, and that is always what he will have accomplished here in Philadelphia. But he still has something to prove to me as a fan. The days of proving it never end. He has to prove it this year. And there's three specific things when I think of Jalen Hurts that he's got to prove here in Philadelphia starting this season. Number one, can he evolve? Can Jalen Hurts evolve past the player he has been for the past couple years and go to the player he needs to be for the rest of his career? Can he evolve? Can he change his game? I think the Eagles are questioning that. I think we're all questioning that. I have a huge question on whether or not he can evolve. The second thing he needs to prove to me is that he could win consistently with his arm as his legs disappear. It's going to happen. I think it's already started to happen. He didn't run as much last year. He didn't look as fast to me as when he's run the last couple years. So it's a natural thing. It happened to Russell Wilson, happened to Cam Newton, happened to Steve McNair, happened to Steve Young. I mean, any quarterback that makes a big part of their game their legs, those legs will not be the same as they get into their late 20s or 30s. Some of those guys kept winning with their arm. Some guys struggled. Some guys fell off completely. Where he falls in that spectrum, I don't know. We're going to find out. Can he win consistently? And that's why I use the word consistently. It's not about one game. You can say, Joe, the Super Bowl, look what he did with his arm in the Super Bowl. I know. That's one game. Can he win consistently with his arm? That he needs to prove to me. And the third thing, and this is the big one because it's the one that always matters the most, he needs to prove to me that he's worth the money he's getting paid now. Not what he was paid 2 years ago, not what he was paid on the contract he earned a couple years ago, what he's paid now on the salary cap, what he'll be paid next year, and what he's going to ask for in his next deal. Hugh, he needs to prove a lot to me. All those three things top of mind. Hugh Douglas, for you, does Jalen Hurts still have something to prove?
Joe, I'm a long talk a little bit because this is not as easy to answer as you would like it to be. Because I think Jalen has proven a lot in his 5 years in the NFL. 6 years, whatever you want to say. I mean, he's been in 2 Super Bowls. He's been an MVP and all the other good stuff. And I think the thing that people don't understand or fathom when you talk about it is because I think a lot of times fans listen to it like you're talking about it like he hasn't accomplished anything. He's accomplished a lot in a short period of time when you talk about all the other quarterbacks, his contemporaries, that a lot of people feel that are better than him. You know, when you talk about the Josh Allens, you talk about the Lamar Jacksons, you talk about the Dak Prescotts and all those other guys. This is the situation. And I'm going to try to say it in a way that people understand. Jalen's chasing greatness. Jalen has already had a hell of a resume his first 6 seasons in the NFL. I think they want Jalen because they see it in him to be legendary, if that makes sense to people. And the thing that I know about the NFL is that when you reach a certain spot in your career, you have to evolve. So this is more so about evolution because they believe in Jalen. I think a lot of people, when they look at this and they hear this, they feel like it's a negative. And the way it's presented, it somewhat is. But look at it like this, people. All of these things came out now because I think that all the other avenues have been exhausted. You know what I mean? I think that they're trying to reach Jalen because he, in some way, he's probably become unreachable. As far as, you know, for the word, the trigger word for the day is coachability. Mm-hmm. I think that they feel like he's become unreachable, and that's the thing that I really don't understand because when you're the head coach and you're the lead culture setter, I don't understand how you can allow somebody to get so far outside the culture that you have to run to the media to rein them back in. You just can't do it on your own. But I feel like a part of this is what it is. They want Jalen to be greater than what he already is. I think when you frame it like that, it's easier for people to digest because everything that I've read, everything that I've seen from people that are Jalen fans, they feel like they're trying to tear Jalen down. No, I don't think that's what it is. I think that they're trying to get Jalen because they know how. Think about it like this, folks. It's hard to find a good quarterback. Hell, it's hard to find a quarterback, period. We got one. And the biggest issue with Jalen right now is it feels like he's gotten a little stagnant. So now you're trying to figure out a way to get him to take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And, the conversations haven't worked. So now, you go to the court of public opinion, and now you got Exhibit A's and all these other receipts and stuff that you want to present to show people that maybe it's like this or that. And it's been divisive for everybody. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is what the Eagles want to try to do to make them a better football team all around, and Jalen's a part of that.
Yeah, and he's got to prove it again. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there like, come on, he's proved a lot. Sure, he did. He proved something that I think a lot of people didn't believe, that he was a worthy franchise quarterback. He proved that already. That happened. That one, he checked that box. But to me, in the NFL, and really in any sport, you have to keep proving things. That separates the good from the great. Separates the short term from the long term. It separates guys that we talk about versus guys we immortalize. That's how sports work. Right? So, I mean, I feel this about a lot of athletes in this city in different ways. A couple years ago, Trey Turner had to prove he could even play shortstop anymore. I doubted it. He showed he could play it a little bit still, right? And now he can still play shortstop for another year or so, or 2 or 3, whatever it turns out to be. I feel that about that. I felt that way. You go to a guy like Joel Embiid. He still has to prove his body could last all the way until May and June of a season. He's not proven it yet. And, you go to Jalen Hurts. Has he proven some things? Can he play big in big games? Yes, he has shown that. He's proven he can play big on the highest levels. That's awesome. Has he proven he could be durable? Yeah, he has. Has he proven he could throw deep and well enough to win some games? Yes. But what he needs to prove now is that he's worth the money they're going to have to pay him, which is a lot of money over the next couple of years. He has to prove now he can evolve his game to a different kind of offense. And he has to prove over the next year or so that he can win with his arm now consistently and less his legs. So I think that part of his game has disappeared. 215-592-9494. One guy I don't think Jalen has to prove himself much to is the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, effusive in his praise for Hurts just a couple days ago.
So Jalen Hurts, the same concept. You're not going to talk about contracts, but how do you?
He's under contract. I love Jalen. I mean, there's no bigger fan of Jalen than me. Clutch gene, absolutely. The guy, MVP of the Super Bowl 13 months ago, should have been MVP of the Super Bowl right before that against Kansas City the first time. Exceptional and so dedicated. I mean, I think you probably spend a lot of time with Jalen, and he's, as I do with most quarterbacks, and incredibly dedicated to the game, to winning, and being a huge winner. And I love everything about him. So anyway, those things take over time. We never would discuss it. He's in the middle of a new contract now.
All right, so obviously Jeff Lurie is maybe the biggest fan in the entire city, and that counts a lot because he's the owner of the team. But these stories are out there for a reason, right? These stories are being put out there. People are talking for a reason. The Eagles are allowing this to happen for a reason. Jeremy Fowler, the co-author of the story a couple days ago on ESPN about Jalen Hurts, he was talking about Jalen Hurts and a comparison that some, even within the Eagles, have about this guy.
That comparison is not lost on some people, including some in the Eagles building that do see some similarities. Really, if you go just to straight football, there are some similarities where, they throw a great deep ball. They're athletic. They're known as good leaders as far as trying to set a great example. Really getting after it, setting a good work ethic. Like being championship oriented, like all those things. But they have some struggles with certain coverages, not really true pocket passers. Russell Wilson struggled with that, where you had to win with a good running game and a good system around them. Some quarterbacks you can win really because of, and that's a short list. And then some you need to win with by supporting them. And last year when the Eagles didn't have enough support around Jalen Hurts, that's where you saw the offense struggling because it was all on him. Some quarterbacks can handle that, but it's a very short list, as the Josh Allens of the world, Mahomes, Joe Burrow, some of those guys.
So, I mean, obviously the Fowler's making the comparison there to Russell Wilson and saying some within the Eagles even feel there's some sort of comparison between Jalen Hurts and Russell Wilson. Look, that's another thing. I mean, to prove that he's better than that he's not so dependent on all the people around him. Because that was what Russell Wilson, as people now think, right? And now that he's removed from Seattle and they won without him and his career's fallen apart, it's like you look back, like, all right, well, Russell was obviously a good quarterback for years, borderline Hall of Fame guy. But how much of that success was, well, they had all these talented players around him, and he just was there. And I think that feeling, in part, is here. And as time goes on, if Jalen stays here, the roster's going to change. We're already about to see this. They're about to have less talented players on offense, younger players. It's just the nature of the kind of cycle.
It's the game, man.
Right.
Because
so we're probably going to lose Lane, probably AJ in the next year or so, and we're going to replace them with young guys, and that's going to be less talent in theory around Jalen. Can he still score a lot of points?
look at it like this, people, because I think that this is where people are having trouble understanding why all this is happening. I think that part of it is because the Eagles believe in Jalen. Like, Jalen's probably a little arrogant, probably a little full of himself. I mean, that's the natural progression. I mean, you've had a lot of success early in your career. And he's probably a little bit stubborn. You know, when you hear some of these reports, there's probably some of that to it. They believe in him. I think they believe in him because they did pay him rather quickly when you talk about his getting the team to the Super Bowl. So now it's more about, hey, the talent around you is about to change. You need to become more of, for lack of a better way of saying it, a Tom Brady. And I know some people in the car are like, oh, why are you comparing to Tom Brady? No, the comparison is this. Like, early in Tom Brady's career, one would make the comparison that, he was carried by the defenses. He was carried by the coach and everything like that. But
not an unfair thing to say.
No, it's not. Early in his career. But and he was winning Super Bowls. Because even I, at one point, thought Tom Brady was a system quarterback. At one time, he was. But then when he evolved, Tom Brady became that cat that you didn't give a damn who was on the field with him because it was Tom Brady.
I mean, some of those receivers towards the middle and end of his career were like, who are these guys? Chris Hogan's of the world?
Yeah, and when you're a quarterback, you have to evolve every year. Because I tell you, as a defender, we go into the meetings. We get ready for a game. Hey, this guy can't throw this play. Like, for example, Michael Vick. I think he had trouble running to his right, and he never corrected that. So that was a tail that he had. So if you flushed him, if you came from the right side and flushed him to his right, then he had trouble throwing the football. Like, certain things like that, you pick up on, and tendencies that you have that you try to limit what a quarterback can do. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. If everything is true and the offense is stagnant because Jalen doesn't want to do certain things, well, that makes Jalen easy to defend.
Of course it does. Yep, and it makes the Eagles easy to defend.
Yeah, it makes them easy to defend regardless of who you have out there on the field. And especially if, say, one of the knocks on Jalen is he can't throw over the middle. So now if you know Jalen doesn't like throwing over the middle, then what you're going to do? You're not going to defend the middle because you know the ball's not coming there. So now you're pushing everything to the boundaries because you know he's not comfortable in that space. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable in the NFL. That's what it is because the game is constantly evolving. And I feel like in this situation, the Eagles are trying to get Jalen to evolve, and this is their last play to try to attempt to do that.
It certainly feels that way. 215-592-9494. Does Jalen Hurts have anything left to prove to you? He does to me quite a bit as we go into the 2026 season. Kyle, what are you feeling?
So I feel like people hear this and say, like, well, he hasn't proved anything to you already. Like, of course he has. He's proven that he's capable of being the quarterback on a team that wins the Super Bowl. That's awesome. But, like, we had this conversation yesterday with the whole ink being dry thing. Like, the ink's not dry on this guy's career. He's been a quarterback for 5 years. And even if you win something earlier in your career, that doesn't just buy you the whole rest of your career. Like, I mean, think about with Doug Peterson. He won the Super Bowl here. And the Eagles gave him a contract extension in 2018. He clearly still had things left to prove.
And he didn't, unfortunately.
And he
for
did
him.
not.
Nope.
And Doug Peterson was no longer the coach. Then he had to go to Jacksonville. Like, just because you win doesn't mean you have nothing left to prove ever. There are so very few examples, so very few athletes who have nothing left to prove. And that's like your LeBrons of the world. When Tom Brady was playing, nothing left to prove. Those are very, very select few guys. Jalen obviously still have stuff left to prove, and the Eagles are saying that. With what they're doing right now, they're not Doesn't look like he's going to get a contract extension. That's them saying, go show us that you're worth the contract extension. Go show us that you can evolve with this new offense. Go show us that you can be the engine that drives this team, drives this offense when, who knows? What's the talent going to look like around you on the offense? Is AJ going to be gone? Can you be the driving force behind this? This is kind of like the inflection point, and the comp to Russell Wilson is like almost perfect. He's a guy that was the quarterback on a team that won a Super Bowl, not because of him, but with him, right? And that's not necessarily like a knock or me trying to hate on the guy.
It's the truth.
But it's the truth. Russell Wilson won with a great defense and a great running game in Seattle, and they won the Super Bowl. And then, you know what happened with Russ? He actually got better as a passer. So at that inflection point, Russ got better, and then, we know where his career is now. But, the ink was not dry on Russell Wilson's career after he won the Super Bowl with Seattle. That's very clear. The guy's still in the league. He's backing up Jackson Dart, or was backing up Jackson Dart with the Giants. So, Jalen still has so much time left in his career. The ink is not anywhere close to dry. So he has so much more left to prove, just like so many other players do.
They do, and he does. And this year's the prove it year. 215-592-9494. Does Jalen Hurts have something left to prove to you?